Hey, what's good YouTube? So, patch 7.1 come out. That was on October the 25th. There's a lot of updates in there, new content, things like that. A lot of people would have read. So, if you haven't, stick around because I'm going to go through those notes. But there was on October 26th, but I was unaware, I knew that the patch come in, this mini patch, but I wasn't aware of the changes. So there's a few class changes and things like that like I said, I wasn't aware about, and I felt because I didn't know, unless I was just, being an idiot and somehow missed it. But if I've missed it, I feel like some of you might have missed it too. So the first part of this video, we're going to talk about these changes, and it's on a website here. So this is the one here, hotfixes October 25th. You can read the full patch notes yourself for 7.1 just by on the Battle.net launcher. You hit that button there, the patch notes down the bottom next to your game time, and this window will pop up. But first, like I said, we're going to talk about these hot fixes. So I'll scroll down, bug fixes here for the classes, and keep going down, a few little changes here and there, and then we move into PvP. So there's that's to do with like world quests and things like that. But look at this, the first one, Mage. Stamina for Frost and Fire reduced by 10% in PvP. They're squishier. Frost Mages are squishier. And, they're pretty strong, but I don't know if they were tanky to see. Frost and Fire Mages have felt a bit too tanky. That's their notes there. So, with any of these changes, one, I'm just going to try and take like a neutral standpoint of it, no matter what class I play. I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below, whether you agree with these, disagree. We can have a discussion. I'll reply to everyone unless you try and bash me. That's how I work here on YouTube. We'll scroll down. Mistweaver, a little cooldown on that because their soothing missiles too strong, they feel. So I don't know Mistweaver too well, but you can read those if you want. Counteract magic increases healing or renewing mist, but just a little bit less. Paladin changes, not too much of a change there. A little nerf to Disc Priest. Now this is for the setup in 2v2 Arena, so that's with Assassin Rogue Disc Priest setup. I feel with that. Rogue. Agility reduced by 10% in PvP. That is agility reduced just under Rogue. All three specs, 10% reduced agility, just flat. And stamina reduced by 5%. So rogues are intended to be strong, yet vulnerable to focused fire. So they're going to do a lot of damage still. 10% less. I think you're going to feel it, but assassin rogues, man, 50% reduced damage. I could nearly still have decent damage. Being sarcastic, obviously. But yeah. So, less tanky, bit less damage. Little nerf there specifically to Assassination Rogue. Sub, stamina reduced by 5% PvP, even more. Stamina there, and Assassination and Outlaw, stamina reduced by 15%. They might very well actually be go-to targets now. They were, but then 15% reduced health. They're going to be under a lot of pressure to use their cooldowns effectively, I feel. Enhanced Sham. Agility reduced by 10%. That's hopefully no one-shots with their Bloodlust Burst. They were so strong. I had so much trouble personally with Holy Pal Enhanced Sham set up in 2s. Warlock. Demonology. Increases damage of Doom by 33%. Doubled now increases it. I don't know if that's a buff or a nerf. It doesn't say where it come from. 30% PvP. Reduced by 20%. So I guess there's a couple buffs there. Reduced there. Not really. I've never played Demo Lock. That's something actually I want to try out myself. Now Warrior. If you've seen Bajira's video, he wasn't happy about the hamstring nerf. They kind of just got hit kind of out of nowhere. But Blade Storm, full damage now. Execute 15% more damage. Watch out for that kill shot range. Absolutely. They're the kill shot. They get you sometimes if you're just not ready for it. Now move down. So you think that's about it, but I had a quick look at this earlier this morning. Scroll down after these little changes here. Bonus events, classes, and player versus player. So these are only active while in PvP combat situations. Frost Mage, Ice Form, bit of a nerf, can't be cast or stun. And they can still be hit in other forms of CC other than stuns now. So take note of that. That's big if you play like a monk or something. Frostbolt, a little bit of a nerf. Hunter, BMs, agility reduced by 10%. There's nerfs going everywhere around here. Mistweaver, Mistweaver can no longer be cast while silenced. Soothing Mist Healing reduced by 10% in PvP. Another reduced by 10% PvP. There's a lot of text on that one there. One of our strongest healers. They were pretty strong. Paladin. Okay, that's a buff. No longer causes cleanse to incur a cooldown. Okay. There's that. I don't know about that. Is that Pure of Heart no longer triggers when healed by Pure Q effect? That's almost, I don't know, is that a big buff? Well, not a big buff. That's a bit of a buff. I'm not sure about this one. I'll have to look more into Holy Pals for that. But like I said, let me know in the comments below. Some of these classes, like, I haven't played ever personally, so you probably know a bit more than me and can tell me about that. Little bit of a nerf there for Ret Pallies, Assassination Rogues. Wow. System Shock's damage has been reduced by 20%. Assassination's agility has been reduced by 5%. So this is because Assassination Rogue is intended to be a strong, persistent damage dealer that pressures targets, but lacks the utility that Outlaw excels in, or the mobility that Subtlety provides. We've been monitoring their damage and feel it's higher than intended, and we found some bugs with System Shock contributed to this. We've also altered their PvP template to effectively reduce their damage. Outlaw. Controller's King will no longer stack Adrenaline Rush above a 3-second duration. Shaman Enhance. Storm Strike's damage reduced by 15% in PvP. And Bloodlust and Heroism have a 60-second cooldown rather than 45. So that about wraps it up. Yeah, there's rest of just bug fixes and things like that. But man, a lot of nerfs across the board. I mean, the damage in Legion was high, but I would have never expected changes to come in, you know, 7.1. Well, not even, this is like a little mini patch after 7.1. So you got 7.1 changes, which we can get up right now. And then these are just even more. It's kind of like out of nowhere. So I wasn't expecting that. I don't know if you guys were. Like I said, damage was high, but wasn't expecting that. Now, that's going to wrap up the first part of the update. So if you're familiar with these 7.1 changes, this is pretty much the end of the video for you. Thanks heaps for watching. I just want to save you time and let you know what's up. But now we're going to move into the 7.1 changes for anyone that hasn't read them yet, maybe can't be bothered, would rather watch a video and things like that. I'm going to start off here. It says Death Knight. Icebound Fortitude has returned for blood. Frost gets a buff. The main one here, I think, Obliterate damage increased by 20%. I wasn't expecting something like that. Howling Blast damage increased by 50%. And just for Unholy, Death Core damage increased by 50%. I guess they want it to be more in the rotation. Because, I mean, Death Core these days really isn't like a main damage dealer. But that might help it out a lot. Demon Hunters here, not too familiar with their abilities. But you can see reduced to 30%, was 50 on Agonizing Flames. Can be rooted, that's a bit of a buff. Increased to 25 yards, a bit of a buff. So, yeah, slight buffs actually for Demon Hunters across the board there. Well, not across the board, but on a few of their abilities. Now, Druid. There's a lot of changes here actually, but a lot of them, this is like for some boomies only use, some Resto only uses. Swiftman healing increased to 770% of spell power, was 700. That's for Resto. Swiftman healing. Oh, actually, maybe for if you spec into Resto affinity as well on the Feral. Interesting. The big change here for Ferals, because I play Feral. Regrowth now takes over. Healing Touch. And pretty much nothing has changed too much. I mean, the casts are a bit quicker. The healing's maybe a tiny bit lower, I think, per cast, but they're half the time cast. But you do mana burn, so you can only get like 5 off before you're out of mana, and that's all you can really do for your mate. And those changes there. Now Hunter, post haste now in the last 5 seconds. So that's a nerf. Vulnerable now increases damage by 50% though. Stacking up to 2 times was 3 times. A little bit of nerf total, I think. Oh no, but 100%, but only stacks 2 times, so it's going to go to 100%. And new Hunter talent replacing dash. Anytime you're not attacked for 3 seconds. Interesting there. Marksmanship, little nerf to aim shot by 5%. Survival. Now I'm not sure if Raptor Strike or Carve is in their main rotation, but Raptor Strike damage is increased by 100%. Carve damage increased by 150%. Man, butchery damage increased by 35%. Throwing axes damage increased by 25%. And there you go. So quite big damage buffs there. It's going to be interesting to see how they play out. I know that Mongoose Bite is their biggest ability, and that hasn't been touched. But yeah, it will be very interesting to see now. Arcane Mages buffs. Little nerf on Pyroblast to Fire Mages. For their PvE side of things, Flame Strike damage increased by 15%, a bit more AoE pressure. Okay, moving on. Run our battery really quick there, out of space I mean. So Fire, bit of a buff to its PvE spec look of it. Moving on to Frost though, look at these buffs. Flurry increased by 50% when Brain Freeze procs. Your Pet, 25% increased on its Water Bolt. Water Jet increased by 100%. Lonely Winter now increases the damage of spells by 25%, so that's if you run no pet. It was 20. Flurry damage, Ice Lance, Frostbolt, Ray of Frost, Frostbomb, Comet Storm, Ebon Bolt, Frozen Orb, all 5% baseline buffs, and Blizzard damage increased by 10%. Watch out for Frost Mages. Wow. But remember, they did get a nerf when it comes to their survivability with their stamina reduction there. Monks, Infuse, a bit stronger, interesting. Crackling Jade Lighting is a bit of a nerf. Mistweaver, bit of a nerf on there, but Soothing Mist now ticks a bit higher. Paladin, Flash of Light is a bit of a heal, but it costs a bit of a buff, but costs a little bit more. So buff and nerf, I guess, with that one. Holy, bit of a buff by the looks of things, but nerf on Sanctified. Rats. Holy Wrath now deals 200% of your missing health in damage to 4 nearby enemies, up to 120% of your max health. I don't know what the numbers were beforehand, but Holy Wrath, that thing has wrecked me in the past. If you've seen my weird arena games videos from last week, I think you should check that out, because I literally just got destroyed out of nowhere, and I thought we'd won. Me and my healer were alive. The rat was the only one left. Toggled it off like he's just been an idiot trying to make the game go for longer than it should, and then I die, and then we lose the game 20 minutes later in like heavy dampening. It was ridiculous. But anyway, Priest, we're getting on only halfway. Damn. Mindbender, a bit of a nerf. Disc, bit of a nerf on a few abilities there. Holy, bit of a buff. I know Holy was a little bit underrated, I think, in PvP, or not underrated. People go for Disc is what I'm trying to say, or Shadow. But Holy, bit of buffs. It feels like on a couple of abilities there. Now Shadow, interesting because I got Shadow Form back. Increases damage by Shadow Form by 10%, but it reduces your physical damage also by 10%. You can't cast any holy spells while in this form. So I guess Holy includes like their shields and things like that, but they can still Shadow Mend while in that form. It's going to be interesting. Watch out, they get a bit of a damage buff, I think. I don't think it replaced anything, it's just a new ability in there. Rogue. Kingsbane now generates 1 combo point. A slight buff there, I feel like, to Assassination Rogues after all these nerfs. But Outlaw. Saber Slash damage increased by 10%. Pistol Shot damage increased by 10%. Ghostly Strike damage by 10%. And Blunderbuss increased by 10%. So maybe a few more Outlaw Rogues running around now, because I know Saber Slash is their main ability. I did play one for a little bit to see what they're about. Shamans, Allies, a few buffs by look of it. If I quickly look over there, Warlocks, there's a lot of different changes with Warlocks now. They're rocking, they can run Chaos Bolts now at 150% increased damage, so watch out for Chaos Bolts. They're running that spec. Affliction buffs. I'm not even going to read all them out because there's a couple there, all about 5%, but look at 5 or 10%. Corruption damage increased by 10%. Agony damage increased by 5%. Affliction Lock's going to have that comeback soon. And Warrior. So, Bladestorm increased by 8%. Fury buffs 8% across the board, pretty much by the look of it. And they take less damage now when they're enraged than they used to. So maybe Fury's going to be more on the board as well. And that is going to wrap up all of the class changes. Other than there's more down here, Honored Talents, if you want to look at that. But that could go on for a while. And that's more little things. Like I know Druids, right? Pouncing Strikes now affects Rip, so I can hit Rip from a bit further. But Rake, I can no longer like teleport to them. So it's all individual. Look for your specific class there if you want, and check that out. And other than that, thanks for watching, guys. I hope I, brought something to your attention that you weren't aware about. And if I did, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Bad boy.